There we go. My old age makes me forget how to turn my audio on. Okay, anyways, we're about to do an edit of Scriptshadow's amateur offerings. So get excited, folkies. The time is nigh. So I'm excited. These looks really cool, and it's a grandma got run over by a Scriptshadow. So, that has to be a big deal if it's those kind of stakes. All right. Anyways, really hope the last thing I need is for that phone number. Wow, haters on Detective Pikachu. Excuse me. I want Pikachu to be around. He's so cute. When a lonely woman finds herself in the middle of the ocean on a sinking boat with a timid geek, she just has a lot of in the middle of the ocean on a sinking boat. A lot of modifiers. I'm just gonna write my little notes up here. Oops, did I miss a chat? I did. Instant Macaroni, how's it going, Novel? It's great to see you. Instant Macaroni, indeed. So I'm going to go sinking. This will be the log line. In the boat, on the ocean, in the, whatever. With a timid geek, she does, but she must employ all her resourcefulness to keep it afloat and solve the mystery of how they got there. I don't know. Boat is a really tricky contained thriller. There's only so much that can happen, on a boat. And so I imagine they're going to get onto an island and all this stuff will happen. So it seems interesting. I don't have a first page of a script that I can read, which is kind of sad. I kind of wanted to actually read the first page rather than see this, but we'll see. That's kind of middle of the road for me. I'm not like super blown away, but we'll see. When two chronic underachievers discover their reality as a mediocre teenage sitcom, they hatch a plan to inject some much-needed conflict into the lives of the show's main characters in order to save their show and thus their reality from cancellation. It's like a Truman Show, sort of, like the Truman Show premise. But, for me, branching realities feels a little overdone. Yeah, for me, just branching realities doesn't seem like something new enough for me. It doesn't seem I'm not getting a new strange attractor. And yeah. Is that something that feels like, holy moly, this is different? But anyways, I'll read the first page and see what happens. Interior Jasmine's crappy studio apartment. Night. A computer screen. A Word document. Blank. Oh no. Jasmine Jazz waits. 20s pudgy, fidgety, ethically ambiguous. Stares numbly at the screen. Bloodshot eyes. She's been at this for some time. Alarm clock reads 12:49. Oh, we're almost there. 12:11. Instant macaroni! Oh my gosh, Novelith, you're gonna inception me. I will have to eat instant macaroni if you say those words. That actually sounds really good right now. Maybe I'll get some instant macaroni. Oh, let's make a stop. Just kidding. Not that impressionable. Oh man, please don't address me as the writer. So, how in a lot of movies and TV shows they have that ugly girl who's actually pretty decent looking but just has glasses or a ponytail or something? Yeah, Jasmine ain't her. There's never going to be a swan. I think you just need. So I'll give some notes. Okay. Like feels overwritten. For example, P2 could have just had the last sentences. sentence in there. You know, as a reader, I don't care so much about writerly voice. I care a lot about seeing a plot begin. And that's the thing. Whenever you're taking it, and you know, there are different schools of thought, and I'm, you know, so I acknowledge that I'm on the more extreme, like, you know, barring the fact that I generally lean against directly addressing the reader in a screenplay. I see that a lot of people use that as advice. Barring my kind of reticence to do that, I think you're running in. This is causing a different problem. This is causing the problem that we have so much fluff. There's so much of your writerly, cleverly writer voice going on, but I want the story to start. So I just need, she's an ugly duckling who's never going to be a swan. Boop. I know who this lady is. And that's a great line, but it's buried by all this fluff. Jasmine bolsters, putting her hands on the keys when the computer types by itself. Why do you even try? You suck at writing just like you suck at everything in life. Remember your watercolor phase? A watercolor painting hangs unevenly on the wall. It could be a tree or a giraffe. Whatever. It sucks. More typing. You're an emotional burden on your mother. She secretly wishes you died that day instead of Darren. She hits the backpace key. Nothing. Tries to close the dock. No dice. Her breathing picks up, hyperventilating. You're just fat, ugly. Looks like rollers down with Steve Buscemi. You're just pale. She can't take it. She yanks the power cord from the wall. Blank screen. She sighs, but when a web page opens, it's one of those "What would your child look like?" sites. Wait, how does it wait? But the screen goes blank. All right. So her computer goes haywire and starts talking crap. Ooh, my lemon bars may be ready. I know. Things you do while taking a break and an exit. I'll be right back. One moment. Not ready. Transition from black screen. Yeah, I wasn't really clear, like, because I thought the screen went black, and then there's a web page. So that's another one that's like a little clunky in terms of, you know, I'm gonna put it on maybe a 3-minute timer here. Needs a bit more time. 4-minute timer. All right. Yeah, I gotta say, this feels like the writer is trying to sell me, like, you know, it's an interesting setup, you know, but it's something I've seen before, like in the Matrix. First thing that happens is computer is like, you know, you are Neo. So even that image doesn't feel completely new. So what I'm seeing is a lot of not new stuff, and unfortunately so much of that voiced writing, the stuff where that's really flashy, snappy writing, is slowing the plot so much that I'm not able to get to the new stuff, to the stuff that makes this screenplay special. Um, um, I'm there's a lot happening on this page, you know, and this scene, you know, it probably. I mean, I'm trying to think about how, like, even like the watercolor phase, like these kind of gags. Um, like the watercolor phase doesn't feel like it necessarily is as cruel as everything else. It feels like a joke. Like that's a crack, you know, that's a joke. Um, these other ones are really, she secretly wishes you died that day instead of Darren. You know, that's really direct, you know, so it feels like, you know, there's a lot happening on this page, and, you know, the voice slows me from getting to the unique meat of your story. Also, the tone seems to shift between, you know, elbow bumping jokes and like really cruel, you know, dark things. Hard to find my footing. So yeah. I'm probably, I don't know. I don't think I'm gonna go for, I don't think even, I don't know if this one's gonna be for me, sadly. But I like the premise. I mean, it's a cool premise, but I feel like there's a lot of stuff getting in the way, and I'm still kind of like, oh, what's the thing that sets this apart? And that's not really crystallizing for me. Anyways, back to Heck. Let's see what this one is. Based on the Iliad. Yikes. Not like in a bad way, but that's a big story to adapt. In Prohibition era Kentucky, a moonshiner's plan to save the family farm goes awry when his brother steals a prized dog from a local mobster. Interesting. So they're going to be so this is coming from the Troy's point of view. It's coming from the Trojan point of view here. All right. What do I think about the log line? I think this is Heck. Log line. I like the premise. It has a nice. All right. Let me see if I can. My eggs are ready. We'll see. Hoping that inner screen isn't. Can infer that the screen is. So you didn't have a problem with that, Novelith. You can infer the screen isn't black anymore. Yeah. I think that threw me a little bit, but yeah, that wasn't a huge issue. But still, yeah, I think you're right. I guess you could infer it. Hey, 667, how's it going? Have a nice. All right, let's get to the story. Horse-drawn wagon lives very alone on the other side of rolling hills of corn. Heck, 25 tan but solidly built farm boy drives the wagon. He chews on a piece of straw. His brother Percy, 15, fan out of care in the world. Perry. Is this Paris? Hector and Paris, huh? Perry greets the world around him with a perpetual smile. Both wear overalls and white undershirts. Heck are stained with the marks of a working man. Percy's shine. I will say, the one thing with the dog is it reminds me a little bit of John Wick. This dog bit feels a little like John Wick. Oh, I burned it myself. Yay. I wonder if there's another angle, prize cow, something that, isn't too close, And at the end of the day, it's probably not the end of the world. It's not a huge deal, but just something to keep in mind. Percy holds a butterfly up to Heck, shows an interest. So we're not getting much, we're not getting so this is a standard first scene, but this would kind of go to those first 10 pages context, where this first page, doesn't, explode with at least a hint. The first page is clean and well executed, Pick a spell. But I want at least a hint of feature conflict. Not a strong hook. And I like your logline enough where I might, pick this one as one of the two that I kind of go a little bit more detail in. But yeah, I mean, again, that kind of goes to the risk where it's like, yeah, I mean, the person who goes to watch that movie isn't going to read your logline. They aren't going to know kind of this bigger context. So, yeah. 1 second. Turn my oven off. All right. Miak, I have the power. What up, Miak? Work till 5 p.m. till 2 a.m. with no break. This is fun. Dude, that's brutal. Oh, what are you... Is it still the delivery stuff? That's gnarly. That is gnarly, man. Well, hopefully this is a nice break at the end of a long day. No one really knows what it's like to lose someone. I saw it coming. The mysteries, the regrets, the desires that cannot be resolved. My existence was both a symptom and a cry for help. Nice. Nice 9. Is that coming into your novel soon? That's exciting. While visiting her abusive grandmother in a mysterious nursing home, a young woman with a severe phobia of geriatrics must face her fear and commit gratuitous violence on the elderly who plan to steal her youth. Let me help you remember. I'm gonna do the old lady voice. Kill grandma. I'm game. I'm interested. Gratuitous violence on the elderly. Also, it's a little similar. Little similar. Check it out. Is that some prose I see? This is a screenplay that we are editing. So get excited. We're editing different screenplays tonight, folks. Giving some notes to these writers and hopefully helping them evolve and make even more amazing stories that we can all read and enjoy and watch. These are screenplays, so I guess watch. Miss lost the air. Some think of memory as a mental photograph of a moment in time. Underneath the headstones, a row of freshly dug graves, but the truth is that a memory is more like a copy of a photograph. The clay flower is slumped against a particular headstone, a copy of a copy of a copy. And when we can no longer trust that the life of the dead will be safe in the memories of the living, the zombie flower blooms from the soil as we pan up to a headstone engraved with Agnes Evergreen. Withered hand grasps a photo from her grave. Let me help you. I mean, it's interesting. You know, it's tough. I feel like there's a lot of reused images in these screenplays. A hand popping out of the grave is something we've seen a lot. Is there a new way to, represent this? How do we, revive these old tropes? Also, like the voiceover is tough. The voiceover is tough because it doesn't introduce me to a character, nor, at least not one I see, and it's, hey, where are my glasses? There they are. A little easier on the old eyes. I was talking to Nava Bossy. I know I am bossy. I'm so bossy. The bossiest editor. I'm gonna laugh if people start calling me bossy. That'd be pretty awesome. My wife would agree. She'd be like, yeah, he's super bossy. But she tells me to shut up. So I say, okay, I'm sorry. I'll be quiet. She says, Jeff, shut up. I say, yes, ma'am. I won't make that mistake twice. Oops. Is it broken then? It's the beginning of a short I wrote. I like it. I like it. Well, you'll have to send it in. We'll give it an edit, Nava. At least not one I see. And it, and the phenomenon, and the, magical we're witnessing is impressive if we think in terms of real life, but in film language, this is stuff we see all the time. Remember, your viewer, and I think this is kind of a tough note for a lot of screenwriters and novelists to remember, is yes, some of the things that happen in your stories may feel really special if it happened to us in real life, we would be like, what the frick? This is crazy. But, because we're reading or watching a movie, we're in our movie mode. So stuff that would surprise us in real life just doesn't surprise us in a movie unless it's something new and unique, right? Or in a novel, if you're reading a novel and they're like, there was a fight between the deities and a thunder roared, if that was happening outside, I'd be like, what the frick? That's crazy. But if it's happening in a novel, and I've read a lot of fantasy novels, and I'm like, well, fight between deities happen all the time. Wrap it up. We have to get to a character that we care about. We have to get to like the guts of the story, and I think that's what's losing me here is the fact that, like, yes, you're describing some cool fantastical phenomenon if it was real life, because we're in novel world. It's a phenomenon we've seen before in film. This like kind of flower coming to life and the hand coming out of the grave. So these are kind of not necessarily, they're a little tropey, which is, I think, a big risk when you when you're trying to really set something apart, I think. The lipstick hit list. There we go. That's a little easier to see. Fragile cop gets caught in a deadly game of chess with a psychotic witch who has the power to persuade others to kill for her. I mean, I like that just because I like chess. So you have, it feels like the seventh seal. Um, Alright, interior John House kitchen day. Christmas music. Golden light from a joint in the oven. Once it turns on the heat. From a joint in an oven. So is there like weed in there? Kids, come and lay the table. I'm trying to figure out what that joint in the oven means. Thanks for the bits, Joe G. Much obliged. Yay, Final Boss is editing? I know, it doesn't happen often, does it? Lipstick hit list, alright. So if I could spell. Lipstick hit lipstick lists. It's a lot of lip. There we go. That makes it a little more visible, doesn't it? Alright. Of course, now it's going to move. Gross. Okay. Lipstick hit list. What do I think about the log line? Okay. I like the chess idea a lot. But I'm having a little trouble, piecing together the disparate elements of the cop and the witch. My brain is seeing, bright, but maybe just a little bit in the log line about, how these two come together. Or like how these two worlds fit together. Yeah, so it's sort of like, okay, we have this cop crimey world and we have this magical witchy world. And I kind of want to get a sense of, okay, how do those fit together? That's, I kind of can put together like, oh, maybe it's something like bright. There's a lot of assumption I could do, but I think that could be a downside, right? You don't want your reader doing too much unguided assumption. You want your reader doing guided assumption. You want to guide what they're imagining or kind of thinking. And I think you just need a little bit more guidance in terms of, okay, what kind of, is this a cop in the old world? Is this the cop in the Middle Ages? Like, is this some pleasant day? Wow. Present day. Wow, I'm getting old. I'm tired. Probably will make this a quick edit, but I'm going to get a glass of water real fast. Joe G, thank you for the bits. You're making it rain bits today, Joe G. I appreciate that. I know, I am editing for a change, and feel free to ask any writing questions or editing questions or questions about life. All are allowed. All right. Kids, come and lay at the table. Upstairs laughter followed by the noise of 2 excited kids. Or 12 horses to make coming down the stairs. A sizzle within the oven. Squeal and scout to the kitchen. Mommy, mommy. There's a rattle of cutlery and the kids are out again. Spoon by tablecloth over the dining table next to the Christmas tree. Or it's in the same theater. Many feature Luke Swade, some sort of magician. Champagne cork pops in the kitchen. Another table has a detailed diorama. Many spacemen battle. It's bright, kinetic. Unlike John Century. It's like 30 looks 40 south of falling apart, north of broken, unclear which direction. All right, that a lot in those parentheses. I feel like give us some concrete examples. Remember, this is kind of that same thing of guide the reader's imagination. But the way to guide it is usually through the concrete. Like, what is this person wearing that makes him unbroken? Slight 30 looks 40 south of fallen, north of broken, unclear which direction, if any, he's heading. Like, how does that get communicated on screen? Is he just moping? Is he like have a compass out? That's obviously not the case, but you need to give us the concrete building blocks that let us go to the abstract. So what's happening, I think, is you're starting with the abstract. You're starting with his mental state of being broken and lost. And you're trying to make us, the reader, imagine the concrete. That almost always kind of will frustrate your reader, because that's kind of the writer's job, is to give us the concrete and let us do the detective work about who the character is, right? So maybe tell us about his clothes. Are they shabby as opposed to the, very brightly dressed family, those types of things. Is very much abstract. How can we drive this to the concrete? What clothes is he wearing? Is he fidgeting with something? Is he, doing something different than every happy person in the room? Show. Yeah. Okay. Oof. Tough picks today here. Okay, so let me keep reading. Cradles a cook in his armchair, paused distractedly, did some beard. Christmas card, snowy scene, train doors open, Hanna-Barbera. Part hand grenade, part perfect human mannequin, okay, these parentheses. Camo, how's it going? Welcome. How are you today? It is the same day. Yeah, I'm just kidding. I'm doing very well. It is night for me. Very late. Actually, it is a new day. You're right. It's just past 12, so I'm doing great today. Doing a little edit. This might be a shorter edit than I normally would like to do, because I love to give these writers a little bit of extra attention. But I'm having trouble getting as plugged into these screenplays as I normally would. There's nothing that's really gripping me tonight. Maybe it's because I'm tired, but this is good. This is just as much of a learning experience for these readers, for these writers, because same time zone, scary. I know. But yes, but right now, just I need something that took me from page one. Give me something unique, something new, something I haven't thought of, and I think I'll also give you a page one, like these character descriptions with the big are not super successful. Yeah, those are not really successful, I would say. I would really cut those parentheses down. Again, looking for something new and a hint of conflict from page one, and I'm not getting it. Yeah, and that's been pretty thematic. I think a lot of these have kind of struggled. So let me see. If the ones what would I read? Um, I liked the idea of heck. I liked the premise. The logline got me. It wasn't crazy, but the first page was like reasonably cleanly executed. So I'll pick that one to go in deeper. And sinking, since I didn't get the first, I'm trying to think. I wasn't a fan. I think the things that did not work for me in Willowwood was the very direct address, and there's so much time spent developing the writer's voice as opposed to the plot. I would say Willowwood is going to be a no for me. Heck, I'm going to try to read a little bit more of Kill Grandma. I liked the idea, but the voiceover. I mean, the page one is so critical, and having this kind of funny execution on page one of this kind of bumpy voiceover a little bit, and some images I've seen before. I'm gonna say no on Kill Grandma. In terms of reading more, and this one kind of a similar thing. There's nothing really hooking me. There's nothing new. That's standing out to me, at least on page one. And I like the idea of, this deadly game of chess a lot, but I want to, that's such a thematic image. Chess is so powerful. You look at the first, I think it's the first scene of Seventh Seal, one of the very famous movies that utilize chess, where the main character is playing a game with chess. And I believe, I'm going to look that up. First scene. Yeah, he's literally, the first scene is him playing chess with death. Or is that the first? Let me see. Maybe it's not. There's something else, I think. Yeah, it is the first scene. The Crusader. Yeah. Chess is the best life skill. But remember, so like so whenever you're gonna use a tool in a screenplay, sorry, and then I was just watching Seven Seals first scene for a second there. Whenever you're gonna use a tool or a very big image like chess in a screenplay, um, you want to really bring it in from the beginning. I mean, look at what one of the most famous movies of all time, Seventh Seal, did. Is the first scene. He's on the shore and there's death, and he's bargaining with death. Death is coming to claim him, and he says, "Wait. I hear you play. I know you like chess. I know that Death likes to play chess." And Death is like, "I'm very good at chess." And then he says, "Well, okay, Death. Yeah, I'll play. But you're not as good as me." And then Death is like, "Well, why do you want to play chess with me?" And he says, "That's my affair." So we're already getting, he says, "That's my business." And that's great because whenever, somebody asks a question and they get refused an answer, the reader immediately wonders, like, well, what is that? What is his motive? And then for the whole movie, you're kind of unpacking the Crusader's motive for wanting to play chess with death. But man, that's a great movie. So I might try to do syncing, or at least I'll read the first page of it. Because, oopsie, do I want to? I'll open this in a copy link address. So I'll do syncing just because I haven't read its first page and I want it to at least be somewhat fair in terms of my random choosing. my choosing of things. I enjoy playing Go. Ooh, Go is a fun game. Of course, I visited a ton of writing streams of bunny girl invasions. They like human flesh. You had me at bunny girl invasion. You had me at bunny girl invasion. I hope they are kind and they don't beat us up. Don't beat us up, bunny girls. Is that gonna work? Yay, it worked. All right, so and I liked the idea, so I'm gonna do sinking, and then I'm gonna wrap up with heck, which I think has been my favorite of the bunch so far. Wow. So I'm gonna go as far as I can in sinking, and I'm gonna have the very aggressive, boundary of my sleepiness. The bunny girl. Oh my gosh, that's so mean, bunny girls. I'm a nice human. Why cannot we be friends? No roasted humans today, please. Only friends. Okay. So now, that is very rude, bunny girls. You come into our planet trying to roast humans. Not going to happen. We have nukes, bunny girls. Anyways, now it is time for, which is the right screen here. All right, there we go. I'm going to widen this out just a little bit more. All right, here we go. So this is sinking. So this is the one I haven't read that didn't post their first page because I think they had pictures of ships. There we go. I don't like having too much junk in front of the screenplay. I do like that this title page at least is very minimalistic. So I'm just gonna go in here on page 1, page 0, I guess. I like that, the title page, but sure, the pictures of the boat. Yeah. I'd be real 100% sure the pictures of the boat are necessary. Okay, Brisbane City. We follow Brisbane River as it winds deeper into the central city. A small boat sail by, ferry buses past. Rivers a shovel boats moored nearby. At the base of one of the office buildings, a selection of bustling restaurants and clubs, packed corporate workers. All right, so yes, we're in the city. Probably this feels a little overwritten. A tall office building sits, at the base of one office building, along the coast. I think this is the only paragraph we need. You know, page 1. I feel like the middle. Yeah, we spend a lot of time on this moving camera direction, and take it from me, I did that exact device and executed it in a very similar way in one of my screenplays. And, in hindsight, it probably wasn't the most effective thing. Like, it kind of was nice, and it was like a fun little, like, rushing here and there and going places. And, but, I think if I was to give myself advice that I probably should have gotten earlier in my writing career, screenplays at least, I'd just be like, let the director figure that out. If it was a novel, if it was something else, yeah, fine. But, if we're doing all this jumping around, just describe, different things, and we'll put together the jumping around. Uh-oh, sleepiness coming in. Sleepiness incoming. All lights on, silence. The entire floor is lit up. She's still working. Okay, so one thing to think about is naming characters. So usually after you give a character, if you give a character more than 2 lines, name them. And you'll sometimes find you can, you know, they automatically get more fleshed out. And sometimes you can bring them back later in the story. There is there's a trade-off though, and that's why I'm writing that in, because I think this boss lady is probably going to be a throwaway character. But there is some risk of, when you do name a character early on that's only going to be in one scene, of the reader kind of thinking they're more important than they actually are and trying to remember them, and then it's kind of a bummer. But the thing I would say about that naming the characters is it kind of pushes you to combine them and to say, okay, I named this character here, maybe I can just name him there too. And so it sometimes makes a pretty big difference to just name the character and get it over with. But that could just be me. Because then you'll find yourself looking for opportunities to bring them back, and it gives that sense of wholeness and continuity to your screenplay to have characters that are there for more than one scene. Bring it on, we can take their insults. AKA roast comedy jam the roast humans. Oh. So they'll be like, haha, final boss, you don't have cool bunny ears, so you suck. That's pretty mean. Bunny girls, pretty freaking mean. Tell them they're super mean. They should stop doing that. They should really be nicer when they come to our planet. All right, anyways, enough about bunny girls. Sorry. Probably whoever, if the writer watches this, you can be like, what the fudge? What the heck? But yeah. Great, just great work, Alice. Really great. Okay, this boss did a magnificent job. You should be very proud of yourself. Unfortunately, we won't have any more next week. I like the grabbing the pins moment. I'm gonna admit a bias. I'm a fan of workplace corporate satire and stuff like that. So the fact that this has a little bit of that in there, it's gonna hit a soft spot for me. I still think that it's not feeling like a movie. I think I still kind of want that hook. Something to at least suggest there's something bigger than this girl and her job, because I've read the logline. Your logline promises me this kind of mind-bending journey on a boat where they're going to be out stranded, crazy. But I'm kind of like, I want to see a little hint of like that sinister. There's a big sinister coming up, but I kind of want to see a little hint of the sinister to get a hook. I feel like, while I like workplace satire, hook is still soft. I don't need much, just a hint of the sinister that's coming. Yeah, you don't have to like immediately throw her under a boat, though that wouldn't be a bad idea. But like, what? Give me a hint. Give me a hint. Okay, she changed their tire. There's a lot. So this could be a montage. This could be way shorter. Okay, so I think I'm seeing what the problem is. This, like, Alice's miserable life, you know, this, could be a, like, montage. And just a series of shots. There is a lot on the page for a little bit of information. I mean, I would just cut to her, like, cut in the car, cut changing tire. I can just do one line for each. Each of these things could be a line, and that's all I think you need. I was wondering something about naming characters in a prologue, but they are killed off in the prologue due to them dying in the past. I think that's okay. Novels operate different than screenplays, differently. You probably should name more characters than you would in a screenplay in a novel. Screenplays, remember, at their core, they are technical documents. They are blueprints they are, they are the architectural plans, not the house. So for a screenplay, it's okay to say this is a cop, cop one, cop two, because if they're just walking around saying like, hey, you're dumb, they're being mean or whatever, and they just pass off the stage, that's fine. That signals to the director and the reader that, hey, these are not important characters. Hire extras for them. Don't get like, James Earl Jones or whatever. So I think that's in a novel it's different because you actually in many ways in a novel you have to think a little bit more about these throwaway characters and ideally think about combining them as well, but in a lot of ways because they will help build your world, especially if you're thinking of a speculative fiction novel, which I know many of you are writing. The little nuances of the kind of the pass in pass out characters actually add up quite a bit, I think. All right. Yeah, I think there's too much writing. This is fills her vodka, we're just getting to like okay, she's in a bathroom. All right, we're 5 pages in and she's just decided either not to kill herself. Yes, okay. So that scene could probably be, so I think we're still kind of coming into the same thing. I was like, I want to see something new. I want to see something surprising. The depressed lady, contemplating taking too many pills doesn't, is something, that logically follows. So it doesn't surprise me. Give me something, dynamic, new. I mean, this is a tall order, right? So again, like, if I look at the stuff that I write objectively, sometimes I'm not always going to come up with new things. And that's okay. And sometimes, you're just like, okay, Jeff, maybe so it's okay. But I think there's a lot, I think, that you could push a little further. And maybe it's not like this, like totally reversed expectations, but a lot of things are being delivered right as I would expect them to happen. And maybe it's just because I've read a lot of TV or read a lot of screenplays, read a lot of books, read a lot of everything. So then you kind of like know the language of story, and you kind of know that, okay, this is depressed. So yeah, what's a new way? Maybe she you know, gets like a toaster and like holds it over her bathtub, and it's just like, that's like a little bit more of an image than the hands and the pills, because we've seen the pills in the hands so many times. Like I would have, and obviously it's more like jokey, but like what if she gets like a blow dryer, a toaster, and like is standing in a bathtub filled with water, and she's like, "Ooh, I'm gonna go out clubbing," and then she ends up just like blow drying her hair, like, yeah, that's a very silly example, but again, it's just like I want some. And remember, this is film. There has to be new images, even if it's not a new plot twist that like totally changes the plot. The imagery can go a long way in film. So even if you say, I'm going to deliver the same exact plot beat, but just with a new image, that can go a long way, I think. Uh, yeah. Okay, so that's, I think, where I'm going to stop with Sinking. This was a great story. I think I like the idea. I like the setup. But again, it took us there's a lot of writing there. So it took us a long time to get to the meat of the story. So I'm hoping that Heck really stands out for me, but it's between these two. I think that was the second strongest. Funny enough, um, standing on the side of the roof and jumping into a pool, exactly. And I think that goes for novelists too, and that's something I have to push myself to do because it's so hard. Um, I like toidles. I like toidles. All right. So, Paris and Hector. You're on the reins. You pull them off the road. Keep mom like that. Hosts don't care for polite person. Or just care for pointing them in the right direction. They care for apples, beets. Okay. So one of my old adages of screenwriting is beat. Whenever you type beat, it's always a missed opportunity. Beat is always a missed opportunity. It's usually, it usually spaces down a full line, which means you could have written a sentence with world building or something, or character in it. So you could beat is a screenplay trope that I think is really detrimental to the writer telling their story because it lets them get away with a pause, and they don't fill it with something interesting. And remember, you're still trying to tell us a story, even if yes, this is a blueprint, but it's a blueprint and a sales tool. It's selling the house, like it's giving, the architectural designs to a buyer who may not know architecture that well, and saying, okay, Mr. Buyer, this is going to describe the house. That's why they have those really flashy covers where like they have like the 3D model of the house and make it look all flashy on the cover of the architectural designs before you go further in, because you still have to sell the darn thing. And I think beat is just a missed opportunity. That's always, in my opinion, a missed opportunity. They care for apples. Heck, gave Percy Severus looking gives him a rain shake. Yep. Okay, so we're just going on. So we're on page 2. We're just riding horses. Cobblestones replace dirt. 2 patrician agents load men in patrol wagons. Okay, so we're setting the scene. Jumps as an agent swings an axe in one of the barrels and pouring bourbon into the storm drain. An agent drives the butt of his Tommy gun into barkeep's temple, knocking him down. Pay him no mind, heck. It's not our business. Watch these bottles. Okay, so we're establishing this. I don't know. I think it's okay. I just kind of want. I feel like for a lot of these, what is beat? It's in screenplays exactly. So that's the thing. That's a question I think a lot of people ask. In screenplays, is just supposed to mean a beat of time. It's supposed to just kind of mean they like sit quietly for a second and then continue. So it's like that. That was a beat right there, right there. So it's just like a moment of silence. But again, you can symbolize a moment of silence. So like, let's say, you say Heck scratches his beard. Now we know he has a beard, and now we know that he's kind of like a twitchy guy. So if you just feel that with like, Heck, scratches his beard and spit, puts a plug of, chewing tobacco, in his lip, then we know a little bit more about Heck. So that's the thing. Like you can fill those beats with like active silence. You know, grab me a candy if you have any, says Paris. Heck drops over. Mr. Troy. Look in the envelope. The names are. I feel a little bit kind of elbow, nyuk nyuk nyuk, a little like slapstick, and I think it's undermining the tone a little bit. The one-to-one names feel a little slapstick, and make the tone sillier, which is probably your goal, because I know you want this to be "No Brother, Where Art Thou." Perhaps just the same first initials, not like 90%. Same names. I don't know. Just an idea. That's all we can muster right now. Does prohibition ain't much need corn, since no one's making liquor. That dialogue's a little on the nose, and then I also wonder, we're double setting up things. This is verbal doubling in its true form, So again, the dialogue, prohibition. Oops, sorry. Is a bit on the nose exposition. Thank you for the bits, Joji. Heading to bed. Have an awesome day. Thank you very much. I will get some sleep very soon as well. I'm getting very sleepy. So that's maybe why I'm a little bit more persnickety about these screenplays, but I think this one is a valid note. Dialogue is a bit on the nose. Consider and it also repeats a fact we already know. Cut, one mention. We only need to mention. Yeah, this is verbal doubling, and I think it's a big risk. How long are you going to be on? Maybe another like 5 minutes, 10 minutes maybe. What do you think is harder, a screenplay or a comic board? I think it depends. I think they're different. I haven't written comics, so I can't really give too much. I can't really say I know very much about that process. It's one of the only things I haven't written. I've written radio dramas, I've written poetry, I've written film, I've written blah 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 blah. I've written everything except comic books. So if anybody wants to help me finally close the gap on that, let me know. Happy to collaborate. Just can't draw. I've written children's books. That's all we can muster right now. Mr. Douglas from his glasses. Okay. Loan payment. And then with Ma dime, the funeral expenses will possibly have been right. Is Percy like mentally addled in some way? Because like he's definitely missing the gravity of the situation. Hmm. Again, I think it's starting very, very slow. And there's the one thing about, and this happens a lot in screenplay writings, is they say, okay, I have 10 pages to set up the before world. But remember, every scene has to serve the climactic moment of the story. Every scene has to tie in to the end. Every scene has to count in terms of a slow build forward. So, like this scene back here, this is just delivering me facts. It's not driving the story forward. It's just telling me the status quo of what's going on. And I think that's a really risky thing to have in your first 5 pages. You want to have slow, steady forward movement, maybe some little event, something that goes wrong in the first 5 pages that tips off something else, that tips off the big inciting incident. So remember, every scene has to have a dynamic motion forward, something that's at risk, something that's going wrong. Like you need to have each moment be building. And I don't really feel that's happening here. I feel like some of these scenes are only for exposition, which is a bummer. Um, you know, um, even yes, you can. The purpose of the early pages is setup, but you also must ensure that the story is moving forward. And this particular scene seemed to just operate as exposition. I think this is back to page 3 a little bit. This is page 4 too. That's fine. All right, there's page 4. Oh man, I think I got the numbers wrong, but let me do. Guys, edge of the horse looms at the entrance of the gym. So this is just setup, 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 setup. Fees are part of doing business. Prohibition has been tough on all of us. Don't forget, guys, it's prohibition. Again, this is verbal doubling, and it's very common. And one of the reasons it happens so often is because the writer doesn't trust their very good writing. You've been writing this really well. This is very competently written. So trust that. Again, we get another mention of prohibition. Trust that your writing did a good job and the reader picked it up the first time. That's tough. It's something I still struggle with. It's something every writer struggles with. Is verbal doubling. That's probably why I get so, rah 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 about it. But something to keep thinking about. Anyways, I think I might call it tonight. I'm pooped. I'm exhausted, and I got an early day tomorrow. Sort of early day, not really early day. But I made lemon bars, yay. Anyways, thank you so much to the writers for doing this. I know how much hard work goes into these things. I've written a couple of screenplays. It is brutally tough. So I respect the work that's going in, and I get kind of uppity because I'm so passionate about, hopefully getting your work to be as good as it is, as good as it can be. And I think you guys have a lot of potential here. And I think that these are just a few drafts, a few tweaks away from just evolving. And remember, the early drafts of the screenplay, one thing I always tell people to try once is pretend like, and I think Taika Waititi, funny enough, had a great way of doing his writing is he put it down for a year. He'd put his story down for a year. So give it some time, put your story down, and then he would read it a few times over, and then he'd go back and rewrite without looking at the old draft and try to like remember what was going on. And it would be a really small draft, and then he would try to expand that out. So I thought that was a pretty clever technique, one that I don't necessarily probably have the guts to do myself, but one I probably should try on one of my screenplays at some point. Anyways, everybody, I'm heading off to Betty Bye. I will see you all very soon, and have a wonderful night.